I cook for entertainers. Okay, I've cooked for AC/DC. I've cooked for Lynyrd Skynyrd, God rest his soul.
Really?
I did Justin Bieber.
Oh, wow.
I did some cooking for Kid Rock this year.
So you're a big-time chef.
I do a little something here and there.
Yeah.
Welcome to Six Figure Trucker, the podcast where we share advice on how to be successful in trucking and have fun while doing so. We'll share stories, news, and advice on how to earn six figures in trucking, and we'll speak to guys and gals that are already doing so. Let's get to the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Six Figure Trucker, brought to you by Norton Transport. I'm your host, John Madewell. Thanks for joining us on this episode here. And, you know, this is a show where we talk about everything related to trucking on the drive-away side and many things not related to trucking. But this is a chance for us to elevate the men and women who make this industry roll, make the wheels go round and round, and, of course, contribute a lot to the economy and our society by moving these trucks that, in turn, in the end, move the freight. And joining us tonight, we're very pleased to have Steve Sneed with us. Steve, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, John?
I'm doing fantastic, even better now that I'm talking to you. I've heard a lot of good things about you, Steve. I heard most of them from your dispatcher, Jessica Albert there, and she has talked very highly of you. Said that she told me on the way out the door this evening as I tried to get her to come on and join us tonight, she said he's number one. He said he's one of my favorite drivers. And I said, well, that's high praise. I said, you should be on here with him.
Wow. Don't believe everything you hear, John. Don't believe everything you hear.
She held up her finger and said number one. I'm like, well, there you go. But I'm sure that makes you feel good, and it makes her feel good.
Yes, it does.
To have such a relationship that you have with her. And we talk about this a lot with drivers here on the Six Figure Trucker, about the relationship between a driver and a dispatcher. Now, from your standpoint, how important is that, and how do you make it continue to be a good one?
Well, you know what, John? Everything for me when it comes to work and the way I live is about integrity. When you're working with somebody, it's all about what you say, the way you say it, what you do and how you do it. So that's what I believe in. You know, Jessica and my relationship seems to be the way it is because I do what I say. If she asks me to do something, if I can't do it or don't want to do it, I just say, hey, I can't do it, or I don't feel good about that. But integrity is everything when it comes to having that relationship or even developing that relationship with your, I call them driver managers. That's what I've been used to calling. Okay. But y'all call them dispatchers still here, or we call them dispatchers. Right?
Okay, I'm sure they like hearing driver managers. I was going to ask you a question, something I picked up there on when you were talking about the integrity part of it. When you say you're going to do something, you do it. I mean, how much importance is there to have that type of honesty? Not only honesty, but the honesty up front.
I mean, my thing again, like I said, with the integrity, if something comes along and you don't want it, just be honest about it. Because if you're not honest about it, you kind of put everybody in a bind. This is big. It makes everybody looks bad if you say you're going to do something and you don't show up and do it, or you wait till the last minute and say, hey, I'm not going to do it, or don't answer the phone. All goes back to what I said before, integrity.
Rest assured, we know exactly what you're talking about because, you know, in the end, we have customers and we have drivers and we have driving managers who are in control of what's going on. But this customer expects this truck to be there at a certain time. And then when the driver says, yes, I'm going to pick it up, and then something comes up, sometimes, things do naturally come up. But when they just change their mind, that puts us in a bad position. And how important is it to you to stay behind your word and you're like, I'm taking this load, going to XYZ, and I'll be there?
I mean, it's everything. I'm actually working with a guy that I recommended for a job right now. I'm basically training him to do what I do. Mm-hmm. Jessica, when I referred him for the job, Jessica said, Steve, I want him just like you. Okay.
Right.
He's been here now. He's in his third week now. And one thing I told him, Jamie, if you can't do it, even after you told him you can't do it, I mean, you can, like if you accepted the load rather, mm-hmm. and something comes up and you can't do it, try to call them as soon as you know. They'd rather you call them than just not show, than deliver it late. But, it's all about communication as
Right.
well as integrity. But, when you do that, it lets people view you in a different way, or it gives them more respect for what your word when you talk to them.
Right. Right.
So that's pretty much it on that one.
Now, when you recommended this young, I don't know if he's young or not, but this gentleman for this job, what was his response as far as what you told him and moving into the drive-away arena?
Well, first of all, Jamie, I trained Jamie 17 years ago. I've been a truck driver for 34 years.
Oh, my.
I've trained over 225 people in that career. Jamie was 17 years ago. And Jamie became an owner-operator about 2 years after I trained him. He was an owner-operator up until he came here. He had a lot of apprehension about coming over, but like I told him, this is easy money. All you have to do is plan. If you come here and you do it the way I show you how to do it, you look at a trip, you break it down, you plan it, you make sure you can get in, you make sure you can get out, then you're going to see money. You're going to be happy. It's an easy job. You know how long it took me? 3 years, actually, to get Jamie to come over.
Wow.
But he finally came over, yes. Because we talk like twice a week.
Right.
We were talking on the phone twice a week. And, he just finally said, man, if you own a truck, which I've owned 3 trucks in my 34 years, seemed like as soon as you get them paid for, they start tearing up.
Right.
And that was what was happening with Jamie, He just said, man, I'm tired of paying for this. Every time I get one thing fixed, there's something else. What do you think about me coming over there? And that's how it all started about a month and a half ago.
In addition to your integrity, obviously you've got some persistence in there.
Yes.
I mean, if you stayed with Jamie for 3 years.
I'm very persistent. You know what? I know he's a good driver.
Right.
And people that I like Norton. I mean, I have to just be honest with you. I had opportunities. When I started with Norton almost 2 years ago, I actually got hired with 3 driveway companies at the same time.
Okay.
I chose to stay with Norton. I don't do any business with the other companies. I ran 2 loads for one company. I ran none, which was for one company. I ran 2 loads with one, and I didn't run any with the other one.
Right.
And it was because I liked what Norton had, out there for me. I mean, I make good money here. The driver managers are, the driver managers are pretty good to work with. And once I got Jessica, everything just pushed right on up. It just kept going and going and going. So here I am.
Well, she'll be glad to hear that, and we're glad to hear that you're very happy to be working with us. We're very happy that you are working with us because, I mean, it's drivers like you that make a difference, and you have that influence on other drivers, Jamie being one case in particular. I guess, is that something that, I don't want to say a badge of honor, but something that you treat with a lot of, care and respect, the fact that other drivers can learn from you?
Well, I keep saying the word integrity. And it's when I see people that work for Norton on the road, when I see people that's just interested, like a lot of young people are interested in this job, I basically just give them, the down low on everything. It's like this. This job is just like anything else. It's gonna be what you make it, period. And if you can't listen to everything everybody tells you. And the same thing I told Jamie, you're going to be with me until you learn everything. You're going to go out and venture out and do little runs here and there. But if somebody tells you something, please check with me. I've been in the training field of truck driving for 27 of the 34 years that I've been on the road.
Oh, wow.
I've been the last company I worked for, I was the training manager and orientation manager for the company. So I take a lot with that. And my wife will tell you, I'm pretty precise and pretty, hands-on with anybody that I work with. if somebody says that Steve Sneed taught me, then I don't want it to be any question if they go to a driver manager or go to any other job where my name is known and people question, well, maybe we need to check it out again.
Right.
So that's how I am.
I understand.
I hope that answered the question.
It certainly did, and I appreciate that
All right.
because, we were talking about let's say you kind of already answered this question, but let's just play a little role game here. Let's say I'm someone who is considering going into driveway trucking. I'm thinking about it, but I've got some reservations. How would you sell me on it?
You know what? To sell somebody, and I'm going to say this, to try to sell something to somebody that's not sure, sometimes it can be pretty hard.
Right.
But what I tell them is, first thing I do is I show them. I don't brag about the type of money I make, but, a lot of people will blow your head up with stuff, with fictitious things,
right,
per se.
Right.
I can actually, when I told Jamie, because I ran in, and I'm going to go back to Jamie with this, because this is how I did it this last time, that actually helped convince them after he was going through the issue. Him being an owner operator for the last 14 years or so. And I ran into him in Phoenix, and we were talking about it, and I was telling him, man, I'm enjoying it. And his thing was, well, man, all that extra travel, you got to pay for this and that. I basically told him, Jamie, it's still about planning. It's about working it out. It's like doing math. You gotta break it down and figure it out to get the final answer in it. Mm-hmm. So I said, but let me show you this. This is the work that I've done. I went on my phone, I pulled up my dispatches. I showed him that. And I told him, I said, okay, this was for 2 days worth of work. 2 days worth of work, I made $1,600.
Right.
Come on. Now, you've been owning this truck for all these years. So if you break the $1,600 down into 2 days, that's $800. Now, I don't know a lot of legal stuff other than entertainment that you're going to make $800 a day for doing, So look at it and figure it out yourself. For me, it's a day by day. And that's when you said, how do I sell it on? If you're not making at least $350 minimum a day doing this, then you're doing something wrong.
Right.
So you're paying yourself at the end of every day what you deserve. We all want more than what we all feel, let me say this, we all feel like we're more than what we're worth. Or what people offer us, rather. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. If somebody said, well, I'm going to give you $1 million a day, well, I want $1.5 million a day.
Right. Right.
So, that's just being totally honest. Mm-hmm. So, but when I showed him, or like when I've shown people in the past, it's not about bragging about the money, because I got bills just like everybody else. I got debt just like everybody else. But at the end of the day, if I can make the money I want in 5 days, basically, and Jessica will tell you this, the way I work, I go out in 4 or 5 days, I'll make the money I need to make, and I'm able to go home and be with my family for another 4 or 5 days. It's not like being in a truck where you're constantly in it, take 34 hours off here, and hope you get home for a couple of days there. No, I broke this down into a science. I can go work a week and come home for a week. I don't do that every week. I can do it every week. But it allows my wife not to have to say to me, you ain't never at home.
Right.
I got a garden in the backyard. She's not going to go out there that often,
I got you.
So I got to get home and tend to my garden. So that's it for me. I can show you better than I can tell you. I can tell you a million things, but if I can show you on paper what I made, I can't tell you you're going to make that, but if you allow me to teach you how to do what I do, you're going to be successful in this business. And I thank God every day for it. I really do. My wife and I were talking about it earlier today, especially when I told her, babe, they want me to do a podcast. You for what? I said, well, Jessica said I do a good job. So she recommended me to do this thing. So here we are tonight, right?
Exactly. Now, from what I'm picking up from what you're putting down about the not bragging about what you make, from what I hear, you're more about sharing the information that this opportunity is out there.
It's a yes, yes. It's you know what I really tell people now that I'm thinking more about it, the skills that I have, I'm blessed to have. And I was taught growing up, if you don't share what you've learned, then you begin to block your blessings. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So being able to drive, I'm also a chef, but being able to drive, being able to cook, and being able to manage and train people, those are my gifts. And I thank God for them every night. I thank him for them every day. And I get out here and I share them with people. I'm not going to block my blessings. I want to continue to receive the blessings. So yes, to answer your question.
That's a great way to look at life, look at trucking. Don't block your blessings. I was going to ask you this. You said at times you made $800 a day. And Jamie, you were talking about had been an O&O. You had done the same. In the good and the bad, did it ever average out to $800 a day in the O&O world?
No. I mean, in all honesty, where else are you going to go? I mean, like the driveway, okay, here. I can go here. I can go to Phoenix, which is what we did last week. Go to Phoenix, 1,600 miles across. You're looking at 2 days. The thing pays whatever it pays. The fuel is paid for. The fuel or the final fuel up is paid for. So on this last one we did, it paid for all the fuel.
Right.
So you go across, I mean, even on that one, it was $600 a day, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I worked 2.5 days. I don't care how you break it down. $500, if it's not $800 a day, is better than $0 or $200. As an owner-operator, it looks good on paper. One of the last talks that Jamie and I had, and I hope he doesn't mind, you know, he told me that it was paying him X amount of dollars. It sounds great. It's really good. But he was going to have to work really, really hard to make it happen, which he's a hard worker.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he got out there and the truck broke down. So he lost 2 days. So at the end, something that they wanted him to do in a week, it took, you know, like 9 days.
Right.
So that great money plus paying for those repairs ended up being okay money to just spare money. So me as an owner-operator, I mean, I had some good loads. Now, I got to look back a long time. I hadn't owned a truck in over 7 years now.
Do you miss it?
No. See how quick I said that? No.
No, not at all.
I tell what I tell people now, I'm actually an owner-operator, I just don't have a truck.
Exactly. Independent
I'm
contractor.
an owner-operator without a truck.
And that's the way you like it.
Yes. That's why I love it. I love it. I tell people that I make the same money you make, except I don't have the headache of paying for breakdowns. I've been broke down a couple times since I've been here. I mean, things happen, but I didn't lose. You know, you break down. You know, if it breaks down, it can't be repaired in X amount of time. They tell you, hey, we're taking you off of that. Pick you another loader. This one here's another one. You can go get it.
Right.
You know, as an owner-operator, you got that truck, and if you own a truck and trailer, which I'm glad I never did. I never bought a trailer.
Mm-hmm.
But if you own that truck, you're not gonna leave your truck.
Right.
You gotta pay. You gotta pay to be at the hotel. You gotta pay to eat for those 1 or 2 days. I mean, the way the trucks are breaking down now, I'm not even going to a truck. Even I delivered a truck yesterday to Kenworth down in McDonough, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
The shop's backed up. There was a guy in there trying to get his truck in. Told him he just whatever it was, he thought it was gonna be a quick fix. I heard the guy tell him it's gonna be about a week to 10 days before we could even look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how that would? You know how much money you lose in a week to 10 days?
Oh, absolutely.
So no, I don't miss it at all. I don't miss any of that. I'm an owner-operator without operating my own truck.
Just out of curiosity,
So
it was a Kenworth dealership you were at, not a Peterbilt.
Yes, that was yesterday. It was Kenworth dealership.
Gotcha. You know, you were talking about the breakdowns. I mean, you and I both know breakdowns happen in this business. Nobody likes them. They're not good for anyone except for, I guess, the mechanics. It's good for those guys. Right. But you talked a little bit about it, but a breakdown is much more detrimental if you're an owner-operator. Talk about, I'm sure in your 34 years, you've seen quite a few breakdowns.
Come on, that's why I said I got away from owning trucks a while back. Yes, I have seen some. I mean, to pay what the cost that you got to pay to get a truck repaired and the downtime. See, owning a truck and doing this are totally different. Again, the benefit to owning your truck and driving your truck is at night you don't have to be worried about a hotel at the end of your 11 hours or the end of your 14 or the end of your 10.
Right.
You can just pull over wherever you are and go to bed. Here, it again goes all the way back to planning. You got to know where you're going, how far you're going to go today. You got to have found a hotel. You got to find something that you're not trying to go bulk on, but you don't want that you're going to wake up with bites all over you.
Right.
So, doing all of that stuff, that's just a part of this. But when you break down, let me see. When I worked for a company, or I was leased on to a company, I owned my truck. I had a Freightliner there. It was a 2009 Freightliner Cascadia.
Right.
I broke down in California. The clutch fan went out.
Okay.
I was in California, had a hotel, and I had a co-driver. I paid this guy. At the time, I was paying him $900 a week to work with me.
Okay.
To help me. We were driving teams. I did a lot of California. I loved to drive out west and come back.
Mm-hmm.
So I hired him, and everything we did, I hauled the reefer unit. We took chicken out to California. We brought produce back every week.
Right.
We could do that twice a week. Okay. So we get out to California. I break down. I'm thinking, okay, a day or so. My truck was in the shop for a week. I was in a hotel. Now, anybody that works for Norton that goes to California will tell you it is hard to find a good hotel.
Right.
That you're not paying a lot of money for.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure.
I forget the name of the hotel that I was paying for. It was a decent hotel, but I can tell you it was $126 a day.
That adds up.
Okay. That adds up. Okay. Plus my repairs on my truck, and I never forget this, they were right at $8,700. Okay. Plus this guy I was with still wanted to be paid.
Right.
I couldn't tell you, it's not his fault I broke down.
Mm-hmm.
He still has a family he has to take care of. So he still looked for his pay. Okay. I have had a maintenance fund that most of the money was in at the time because I had broke down a couple months before that with a radiator. So I still went back to, I didn't have $8,700 in, but the company lends you money. So then once they lend you money, they want their money back as quick as they can get it. They're not going to take it to where, they're not going to take it to where you're not making money, but they're going to get theirs. So if you make $1,000, they want at least $300 and $1,000 every time you get paid. So at the end of the day, for about 2 months, I had to pay the company. But for like 2 to 3 weeks, I didn't have a dime coming in for me. I had to pay this man. I couldn't let him down. Again, it's integrity. Just because I wasn't making any money didn't mean because he was with me, he was not supposed to make any money.
I got you.
So I did what was necessary. I paid him. I made sure my bills were paid at home. But I was feeling some type of weight.
That's some pain right there.
Yes.
You're listening to the Six Figure Trucker, brought to you by Norton Transport. Steve Sneed on with us this evening, talking a lot about the pros and cons of working in Driveaway and being an owner-operator. He's much happier doing the Driveaway thing. And I got to ask you, Steve, 34 years in the business, you've probably seen some crazy things out there on the road.
I've seen a lot of stuff. We can't talk about it on radio.
Oh, sure you can.
This podcast.
This is a podcast. You can talk about anything.
Hey, man, I've seen women pulling their boobs out. I've seen them get naked in the back seat, get nasty. I've seen a lot of stuff. And let me say this. I got a friend. He's a caterer. He works in the entertainment industry. I work with him from time to time.
Right.
I had told him that I've seen women get naked in the car and just put themselves up to the window so you can look. And, he laughed it off, and I told him that because I'd seen it more than one time. I mean, I don't want to talk about the men I've seen do that because that's nasty.
Right.
That's not my preference.
That's not your thing.
But,
I got you.
Yeah. So, but I've seen when I told him, he laughed. He said, man, yeah, okay. He acted like he believed me. We were on a tour. I went out with him when it used to get slow. When I worked for companies, when it would get slow, I would take a 30-day leave of absence and I would go out and do these tours, these concerts with him. Like I said, he's an entertainment caterer. So we would be on a tour. And I remember this night specifically. We were leaving Cincinnati, Ohio. He has a box truck, 26-foot box truck. I was driving the truck because the driver got sick. So what he told me he was going to ride with me because he owns a tour bus.
Right.
But because I was doing him this favor after working all day, he was going to ride with me to keep me company.
I got you.
We were going to Green Bay or Chicago or somewhere like that. Mm-hmm. Wasn't that long of a drive. We pull out of the venue. We get on the interstate. I promise you, within 30 minutes, we were driving. There was a black Suburban pulled up next to us. We're going down the interstate. Black Suburban. The lady rolled the window down. There was a man driving the Suburban. Never forget it. He rolled the window down. She snatched her clothes off and was hanging out the truck. Hanging out the Suburban, and the guy was blowing at us, and I hollered over. My friend's name is Al. I said, Al. I said, look. He said, what? I said, man, the lady's naked. Look, the lady's naked.
This is what I've been telling you.
And he looked. Al said, he calls me Shorty because I'm short. I got you. He says, Shorty, we laughed. Because they rolled alongside of us about a mile or so, about 2 or 3 minutes.
They're entertaining you.
Yes. So they took off, and Al says to me, man, you've talked about that, but I just thought you were talking. I didn't think that was real. I said, Al, I ain't never lied to you. He said, no, I guess you haven't, because I saw it now. And we talk about that. That happened. That's been over 15 years ago that happened.
Right.
But we just talked about this a couple months ago because we always talk about the things when you say this, the strange things you've seen or that happened since you've been on the road. That's one of the strangest things, or not strange, but one of the things you never expected.
Yeah, you don't see that coming.
I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
so go ahead.
Oh, no. I said, what do you think, I guess, gets into the mind of people when they do that? They just want to entertain you. They know you're out there for a long time.
Well, you know what? I think that they just think, truck drivers, when I started driving trucks, truck drivers had a bad reputation.
Right.
And that's why in a lot of places, and I'm answering your question. People didn't, or cities, I live in Atlanta, Georgia. And I know they wanted to open a truck stop not far from where I lived at the time. And the people, they raised all type of hell about it because they thought all we were dope pushers and prostitute wanners. They thought that's all we did. So I think, or I believe sometimes, that people still think that about a lot of us because of the way we present ourselves when we're working. We're the demons of the road. We're devils from hell.
Right.
We're trying to run you off the road. We're trying to kill you and your kids. And, it's not like that.
That's just not
in everybody. But I think what gets in these people's mind, I want to see, they'll say, I'm just thinking as if I were them. I want to see if it's really true. Will they try to flash me down or chase me down to see if they could get with me?
Right.
That's what I think. I think that they believe what they've heard. I think that they, and then it's strictly sometimes I think just for entertainment because they know that we can't get to them.
I got you.
Hey, I'm gonna show him, and then I'm gonna drive off quick.
I got you.
Because it puts you in a way when you see a naked woman, right on the side of you. I mean, I don't know any sane man that wouldn't just say, wow, and you blowing the horn and grinning,
Right.
you know?
Right.
So yeah, so that's pretty much it with that.
Gotcha. Now, you were talking about when you first started, the perception that people had of drivers. How important is it to you, or how much have you seen that perception change, and how important is it to you to change that perception?
You know what? I am, and I tell people this, I am the safest driver that I know. I can't ride with anybody. I'm panicking the whole time I'm riding with anybody. I believe in what I do, and I believe in people having a positive outlook on people like me. Because, I mean, I don't know how long you've been doing this, but like I said, in the time that I've done it, I've seen it change. But you still have these guys out here that's doing this, that's scaring people to death. You know, tailgating them, flashing their lights, blowing their horns at them. You know, that's bad. When I see that, I get upset. I see it every day. You know, I don't want to tailgate anybody. First of all, most of the trucks I get ain't running for 65 miles an hour. But I'm not trying to tailgate anybody anyways. But I want people to see me differently. I'm, no drugs. You know, I'm not out here chasing prostitutes. You know, I make a good living doing what I do, and I'm proud of what I do. So I tell people what I do. I'm not ashamed. You know, I like them to know that this is a great profession. You know, I'm happier, doing this than anything that I've done. And I've had some great jobs. I mean, I've not had a lot of jobs, but I've had some great jobs. You know, I left a great job to come here. I left a job where I wasn't even really driving but one day a week. You know, I was the training manager. So I didn't have to drive. I chose to drive on Fridays. And I did all of the road tests. And if people were doing things that I didn't agree with, I would let them know.
Right.
And I tell them, as soon as safety calls me, or as soon as somebody says something, I'm going to know. So if I pass you on a road test and you go do this, then that makes me look bad because I allowed you to do it.
Right. You've got
I'm going to pull you over to, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, you've got an interest in it. You've got a dog in the fight.
Yeah. So, I want people to view us as courteous people, nice people. Now, everybody's not nice. I mean, everywhere you go, you got good and bad. All this stuff going on with the police officers. I grew up with a police officer in my house. My stepfather was a police officer. My brother he's a lieutenant at the police department. He retires next year. But you got good, you have bad cops.
Right.
You got sweet apples, you got sour apples, you got sweet plums. I love peaches. Peaches were terrible this year, by the way. I want to throw that in. I didn't find very many good peaches.
No good peaches
everywhere
out there.
everywhere I went, I looked for peaches. But
now what do you look for in a peach? What's a good peach to you?
I like a hard, firm peach. My wife likes soft. I like them firm because she don't know. She's in the room. She went to sleep. I like to sprinkle a little salt on them.
I got you. A little salt on a firm peach there.
Yes, on a firm peach, but it has to be sweet. You can get a firm peach, but it doesn't have any flavor, then it's not any good. I like mine to be full flavor and juicy, but firm. So that's what I like.
Gotcha. Now, you had mentioned earlier you like to garden. I've been taking a couple notes here. And how was your garden this past summer?
You know what? I'm going to say this year. It was okay, but it wasn't great. What I was going to do, I didn't do. I was going to take all the dirt out that I have. I have 2 4x4 boxes in the back that I made, my wife and I made several years ago. And we've only changed the dirt one time.
Right.
Certain things grew, certain things didn't grow. My bell peppers didn't grow. I mean, I had 3 plants. I think I grew 4 bell peppers. But my tomatoes always grow. My peppers, I pickle peppers, so I grow a lot of peppers.
Gotcha.
They grew.
Right.
Tomatoes. My cucumbers grew for a while, then all of a sudden they stopped growing. but it did fair. Usually, my wife's she's on the Facebook. We old, so we Facebook. I don't know nothing about that other stuff, Tweety or Twitter or no, I don't know nothing about none of that. But we're on Facebook, and my wife is putting everything on there that we're growing in the back. Of course, she gets all the credit for everything. She don't do the hard work. But we didn't go in there much this year. But we have, out of all of my peppers, I got 12 jars. I canned 12 jars of peppers. We gave away a lot of tomatoes. We gave away probably 30 cucumbers.
Now, were these pickled peppers that you canned?
Yes,
No.
yes. I do my own lime, with the vinegar and stuff. I put my own seasonings in it, and I do them myself. I think and I give them away.
Gotcha.
I don't eat hot. So but everybody that I've given them to tells me that they're great. And I tell them if they want more, they got to bring my jars back. So I don't have to keep buying them. So
I understand. They were hard to find, too, in the last couple of years there.
Yes, they were.
Damn.
Yes.
Now, what about any squash in your garden?
My squash never. I don't know what I'm doing to the squash. The ants get it. That's what it is. The ants. The ants. I don't know if you've noticed the last 2 years with the drought, the ants have been really bad.
Oh, they're everywhere, man.
Yeah, the ants ate I'm gone a week. When I look out there at my garden, because I go out, I water my garden at 5:30 in the morning, and I water it. I have a timer I bought from Home Depot. I set it to water at 5:30 in the morning, and it waters again at 5:30 in the evening.
Gotcha.
That's when right now. Well, it's not doing it now, but after the weather started changing. And I would go out there every morning, and I would look, and I would see a squash. When I said, well, I'll be back home, in 5 days or whatever. The squash, I look at it again. When I go back out there, it's all ate up.
Yep.
I do the 7 and 7, the 7 stuff.
Right, the dust.
That don't run that. Yeah. So I don't know what to do about the ants. My wife had Googled it, and she was telling me, and I fell asleep, and she got mad, so she didn't tell me again. But my squash, I planted squash last year, it didn't do anything. I planted squash this year, it didn't do anything. My main thing is peppers. Mm-hmm. We do okra. My wife likes pickled okra. She likes fried okra.
Oh, I love the fried okra, man.
Yeah, so we do okra. We only plant 2 okra bushes, 2 okras, and we get enough okra to eat. Okra. I don't know if you've ever seen okra grow.
Oh yeah,
but okra grows extremely fast.
Mm-hmm.
You can look out there one day, it's the size of your pinky. You go back 2 days later, you need to pick it,
and it'll grow up until in Atlanta it would grow until October. They're close to it.
Ours have grown through November. Mm-hmm. Actually, let me say this. Okra was the last thing in my garden last year. We put some cabbages down. I got rabbits, so I had to put a fence around my garden.
Mm-hmm.
The cabbage and okra were the last 2 things, but the okra still outlasted the cabbage. And the okra, I'm 5'3".
Mm-hmm.
My wife says I'm 5'2", but I'm 5'3". Okay. She's only 5 feet. So
every inch matters, man. Every inch matters.
Yeah, there you go. But the okra bush was taller than me. The okra stalk was taller than me.
That's a good piece of okra right there.
Yeah, it grew to be taller than me. And the taller they got, honest to God, the faster the okra grew.
Right.
And we could never figure out, and it wasn't a bad thing. So when I come home this next time, see, because okra will still grow. I can plant okra right now, and I can do okra here in Georgia, down in Atlanta. We live out in Powder Springs. I can plant okra, and my okra will grow all the way through Christmas, unless it freezes.
Wow.
It's like blackberries. I got a blackberry bush in the front.
Right.
And they will continue. They will thrive. It's hard to kill them.
Gotcha.
So my okra last year went all the way through Christmas. My wife made gumbo. We do gumbo for Christmas as well. She did gumbo, and the okra came off of my okra stalks back in the backyard.
Gotcha. Now, did you grow any melons, any cantaloupes, any watermelon?
I didn't do that this year. I've never done watermelon. We tried the watermelon get to be about the size of, get to be about the size of a peach.
Yep.
Then they stop growing.
Yeah, they can be tough. I said growing a watermelon can be tough.
Yeah, I tried it one time. I try it one time. If it doesn't work, I'll read and I'll see something in there. I'm not going to do all that.
Right.
That's too much. I'm not home enough to make that happen. So we just don't let that go. I did some cantaloupes, like 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I got out of the thing. I think we ended up with like 4 cantaloupe.
Gotcha.
They were sweet. But again, that's another thing. It takes, because you got to go out there and turn the thing.
Right.
I say, I didn't know all of that. You got to roll it. You got to do this. You got to do that. And I'm not home enough to do that. I mean, during the week that I'm home, I can do it. But during the week, my wife, she takes all the credit for the garden, but she's not going to go out there and do anything except pick the stuff.
I got you.
The mosquitoes are going to eat her up.
You're listening to the Six Figure Trucker here, brought to you by Norton Transport. Steve Sneed here. We're getting into it. We've kind of dug down into his garden, no pun intended. Now we're going to jump into the kitchen of Steve Sneed here. Give me your top 3 meals. What's the top 3 things you prepare?
You know what? Let me say this. People ask me that every day. What's your main thing? My main thing is whatever you paying me to cook.
I got you.
I'm being totally honest. I cook for entertainers. Okay. I've cooked for AC/DC. I've cooked for Lynyrd Skynyrd, God rest his soul.
Really?
Yes, I cooked for the Beachboys back 9 years ago. Sammy Hagar, cooked for him often. Did some cooking for Kid Rock this year.
Oh, wow. So you're a big-time chef.
I do a little something here and there.
I got you.
I do a little something. I did Justin Bieber.
Oh, wow.
I'm not going to say anything about Justin Bieber. I used to feed Justin Bieber when he first started. I've always fed him. But let me say this. There's not a favorite dish. Again, it's whatever you're paying me to cook for you. When I cook at home, I cook whatever my wife and I talk about. My favorite meals, I don't have any favorite meals. Whatever tastes good is my favorite meal.
I got you. Now, of those...
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to ask of those celebrities that you've cooked for, the AC/DC, Sammy Hagar, Justin Bieber, Kid Rock, Lynyrd Skynyrd. Who was the easiest and who was the most difficult to please?
Justin Bieber's the hardest person in the world, please. I don't care what you do. He's a young man. I mean, he's grown up a lot since then. But he was because he's not going to eat. He's a kid.
Right.
So his mom and his grandmom are on the road. I'm on a tour. Mm-hmm. I'm feeding this guy breakfast, lunch, and dinner if he's at the venue. I'm feeding his production staff breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Okay. You do ice sculptures, this guy will come in and kick the ice sculptures over. He's the most difficult. An ice sculpture costs $400 or $500 to have cut out, carved.
Oh, yeah.
And delivered to you. The easiest person, Luther Vandross.
Oh, okay.
Luther Vandross was the easiest person to cook for because all Luther Vandross wanted was fried chicken and turnip greens. Okay, that was the big Luther. Now, the little Luther wanted Chilean sea bass that I had to have flown in every day, fresh, could never be frozen.
He took a turn to the healthier eating.
Yes, the healthier Luther.
Right.
He was the easiest person because he hangs out there all day. He was a friendly guy, sit and laugh and talk to you, So he was the easiest. I mean, there's a lot of easy. There's a lot of hard. I mean, we're not going to talk about R. Kelly because I fed him. You couldn't even look at this guy when he walked down the hall. You had to put your head down. So, I mean, and that's the honest to God truth. Oh, yeah. His people in our rider or our thing where we have to sign confidentiality clauses, certain things you have to do. When you go in a venue, I've never gone anywhere where they would actually put tape down the middle of the hallway. So if he was walking on one side, you'd have to step on the other side. And then you couldn't look at him in the face.
Oh, my goodness.
So
that's crazy.
A lot of people, yes. Well, you see, what he got? 30 years. So, yeah.
So,
but
No, I was just going to ask you. This is fascinating stuff here that you've cooked for all these people, and I'm guessing, I don't know, but have they been able to? Do you get to see the shows when you take care of them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. When I'm done cooking, I mean, you got to realize a show normally starts about. I mean, at an outside venue, a show will start at 7:00.
Okay.
Okay. If it's like a festival, the festival will start at 5:00. So I have to be done cooking. The artists would have had to eaten. The food stays in the dining room until they hit. They hit means that once the show starts, then I can start breaking everything, or having my staff. I don't break down anything, but my staff can start breaking the dining room down. After I'm done cooking, I can walk around, do whatever I want to do, and I've seen more shows, and this is what I tell people. I've seen enough shows to last me a lifetime.
I bet.
And I've seen pretty much every artist that you can think of. Let me say this, the only artist that I never fed, well, there's two, but I've seen them, I've shaken their hands, I've been in front of them, was actually both Prince and Michael Jackson.
Those are two great ones.
Prince actually invited us to his house. We were in Minneapolis at his club, and he was having a New Year's Eve party. And he invited us to the house, but we had a gig the next day, so we couldn't stay anyway. We were in L.A. We did something for Jermaine Jackson. Michael made a surprise appearance because Jermaine didn't know he was coming. There's a lot of problem and friction in that family, too. Everybody has it. But he showed up, and he's a little guy, or he was, kind of slim. But Michael liked vegetables, just like Prince. Both of those guys ate a lot of vegetables. I think Prince was a vegetarian. I don't know if Michael was or not.
Right.
But he'd eaten some Brussels sprouts in his brother's dressing room because there was food in the dressing room. He'd eaten some Brussels sprouts, and some green bean and stewed tomatoes, and he wanted to know who cooked it. And he came out, and he shook my hand, and shook my staff's hand, signed autographs, took pictures. All of this stuff I got. I got a wall of fame.
That's too cool, man. That is too cool. You're listening to Steve Sneed here on the Six Figure Trucker, brought to you by Norton Transport. We don't want to break the flow here because you're talking about some great interactions you've had with many entertainers. And if you can tell us, not necessarily from the food standpoint, you told us who was the easiest to prepare for and who was the most difficult, but just aside from the food, which one were the coolest ones to hang out with?
The coolest ones. For me to be an older guy, B2K.
Oh, okay.
And Neo. B2, the group they were called B2K. And then you had the guy Neo.
Yep.
They actually took us out. They took us out, and they took us out to actually eat on a day off and hang out with them. Nobody. Other than CC and BB Winans, they did that a while back as well. But B2K and, like I said, Neo, they took us out, treated us on a day, and we had a great time. So they were good. I can't remember a lot about the BB and CC Winans thing because that was back in the late 90s, so that's been a long time ago.
I got you. How did you learn to cook?
I went to a school called Johnson & Wells in Providence, Rhode Island. Actually, I was in the Marine Corps. And that's when they started when all of this drugs testing started and all of the cross-training started in the military. I don't know how it started, outside of that, but it was 1986. I went in the military in 1984 after they blew up the embassy in Beirut. And I was actually a Stinger gunner, which meant I was a part of it's called a forward aerial defense unit. We shot down aircraft.
Right.
Okay. We spent a lot of time in the field learning call signs, learning to be able to look at a tail wing and tell, friend to foe.
Gotcha.
After about 2 years of that, you kind of get tired of being in the desert all the time.
I'm sure you do.
You get tired of being outside. So when they offered you to take classes and learn something else, what do you do? Well, hell, I want to do something inside. Enough of these bumblebees and mosquitoes. Let me go inside. My grandparents, I'm of Cuban descent, so my grandparents were Cuban. They were brought over to America as domestic help, back in the late 40s and 50s. So my grandfather was a baker. My grandmother she cooked. I always was in the kitchen with my grandma. I like to eat, so I was always in the kitchen. And the best way to be able to eat is to be in the kitchen with somebody while they're cooking. And
I heard that, brother. I heard that.
Yeah, you tend to, develop a palate for these things. So I took up, as a class in the Marine Corps, I took up baking and cooking. I did well in both classes, graduated in actually the top 5 of my baking class, but I graduated number 2 in my cooking class. I was able to change. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, our office is right up the road from Atlanta, about an hour and 45 minutes. And
Jessica's already said what you can say.
I said, I need to get some of this guy's food. I need to.
Yeah. Jessica's already, and she says, hey, I can have you come up here and cook. You can come up here and cook me lunch.
I'm sitting here. I'm getting hungry, man.
Yeah, I mean, I do cater. I have all my own equipment, but I graduated number 2 out of my cooking class. So I was able to, the top 10 people out of when you do these they're correspondence courses.
I got you.
But they're military correspondence courses. So back then, 1986, you're able to, you change your MOS after you've been in the military so long and you graduated in top 10% of your class. So I decided I wanted to learn how to cook. So I learned how to cook. I passed. They offered me the job. They kept me, and I was stationed out in 29 Palms, California. It's highly desert. I was on the way to Okinawa, Japan. They left me in 29 Palms, California for another 12 weeks to learn how to cook. Then sent me to Okinawa, Japan.
Gotcha.
So and Okinawa is not Japan, but that's what we say.
Right.
But I cooked over there when I got out of the Marine Corps. And the only reason I left the Marine Corps, I love the Marine Corps, I'm a guy that likes numbers. Okay, the military is a great place to learn a lot of stuff, but it's not a great place to make a living, but where you ain't got to work real hard all the time, as far as the money. So I got out of the military, and I was able to get a job with Turner Broadcasting. Realized I didn't really like that, and decided to see if I could go to cooking school. There weren't a lot of cooking schools back in the 80s. You can go to your community college, but Johnson Wells was the number 1 school in the country. And there's another school in Pittsburgh, and right now I can't even think of the name of it. But I chose to go to Johnson Wells. So I was able to use the credits that I got from the Marine Corps, the correspondence course, and I only had to go to school for a year versus 2.5 years, So I went to school for a year. I got an associate's degree in culinary arts. I came back home. I worked a little bit. And I said, I want to drive a truck. I took they weren't even called online classes in the beginning because there was no such thing. But I took a class so that I could get my bachelor's degree in culinary arts.
Right.
And I was able to get that over another year and a half over online. And I'm not computer savvy at all. You should see my wife and them pretty much typing everything I had to do because I didn't have to cook. You learn to cook the first year or 2 years in school. Everything else is science. Everything else is math. Everything else is rationings and portionings. So you have to learn all of that to be able to get your BA.
I got
you. So, that's the boring part of the cooking.
Well, you're listening to The Six Figure Trucker, brought to you by Norton Transport. And on the show with us this evening is Steve Sneed. And if you've been listening, Steve is an incredibly interesting guy, and he's got some fascinating stories. And he shared some from on the road, off the road, concerts, cooking, his garden, many things that Steve Sneed's been involved in. And Steve, you said earlier you were an older gentleman. How much longer do you see yourself behind the wheel?
Well, you know what? and I shared this with Jessica, maybe 2 years, tops. I love what I do. Don't get me wrong. 34 years is a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But since I've been here, I got my own food truck. Okay, my daughter's a chef as well. I paid for her to go to school. And she's a chef. So I own a food truck. It's down in LaGrange, Georgia. That's a college town. For you guys that don't know that, she cooks right down there. Place called Sensational Eats.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I'm looking for I'm actually in the middle of trying to secure a deal to get a brick and mortar building that I'm going to do food out of and cater out of.
Okay.
So that, so with that, I don't expect it to jump off the ground like that. But my friend has told me up in Michigan, he says, I'm going to throw you all the business of the tourists that come to Atlanta anyway, so you'll be busy. But I figure it's going to take me 2 years to get everything where I want it to be. And then my wife was telling me, hey, baby, it's time, we done raised kids, we done raised grandkids. It's time to be home so we can do us and run this restaurant. Because my wife's a great cook as well. She's never gone to school, but she's the best cook I know.
Oh, wow.
I mean, she, man, I got a plate downstairs now. She cooked Sunday. Today is Friday?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't here Sunday. But she got my plate put up, and I'm gonna get that tonight before I go to bed.
There you go.
Because I got to fly out of here in the morning.
I got you. Is this going to be a restaurant or a catering business or both?
It's gonna be a restaurant.
Okay.
We're gonna do restaurant, but we're also gonna cater out of it as well.
Have you got a name for it yet?
We're still working on that. I mean, my wife and I go back and forth about what we're gonna name it. I want to put it in her name, but she keeps saying she don't want nothing in her name.
Mm-hmm.
Right, babe? She just woke up.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going to say, if we got a name for it, we'll go ahead and plug it right here on the Six Figure Trucker. But
well, you know what? I just say it's going to be called Emma's Eats.
Emma's Eats.
Yep. She keeps saying no.
Okay. Now, will this be in Powder Springs? Is that where you said you guys live?
Actually, it's the place that I've looked at is actually out of Fulton Industrial. It's a brand new gas station out there.
Okay.
Fulton Industrial. And
so you're in the heart of it.
Campbellton Road.
Yep, right there in the heart of Atlanta.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So they got a lot of open spots there that can be pretty much anything. So, I'm in the, it's a slow process with me being in and out of town. Then the guy that owns the building, apparently he owns like 20 gas stations nationwide. So it's hard, and he lives in Atlanta, but, you got to kind of plan your schedule around his. And, you can't question a lot of millionaires on, hey, well, how come you can't meet me there Friday? I'll be in town.
Right. I got you. Steve Sneed here on the Six Figure Trucker, brought to you by Norton Transport. Steve, you've been an incredible guest. We really appreciate you spending your time with us. And, we had touched on it about how you would sell drive-away trucking, and you really explained that well. But what about for someone who is not in the trucking industry but is considering it? Is it a market for a first job, first career type opportunity for someone?
You know what I tell people, and I say this all the time because I run into, a lot of young people. I got a son that's 22 years old. I got grandkids. And a lot of times they ask, Dad, how can you be out there? Or Granddad, how can you always be out on the road like that? I'm a guy that don't mind being by himself, and this is what I tell them. If you don't mind being by yourself, if you don't mind, enjoying, seeing the country, which I've done that through a windshield most of the time, but you love money, you love good money, and then you might want to look at it. But your heart has to be in it. You can't go out and just test it. You got to be very optimistic when you go into something like this, because you'll go out there with the wrong mindset thinking, because, again, people will sell you a pipe dream.
Oh, yeah.
Make it sound like it's the greatest job in the world. To me, it may be. But to the guy standing next to me, he might be thinking about how quick can he leave this alone.
Right. You've got to commit to it.
Yeah, it's at everybody's own discretion how they look at it. I'm going to sell it like it's a great job, but I'm going to be honest and tell you the pros and cons of the job. You're going from home. You can miss some things. By you being an owner-operator without a truck, you don't have to miss anything, but You're going to miss some things from time to time because we tend to forget. You can come out here and you can make a great living, have a good time, and still have enough time at home. I tell guys, I work an average of 14 to 17 days a month. That's all.
That's
and if you can do that
thing.
and have enough money to pay your bills, do what you need to do, this is a job for you.
That's a wonderful thing right there. You've listened to Steve Sneed here on the Six Figure Trucker, brought to you by Norton Transport. Steve, want to wrap it up here and thank you very much for being on the podcast with us. We certainly appreciate it. You said you're catching a plane tomorrow, is that right?
Yes, tomorrow morning, 6:15. I got to go to Oklahoma.
I got you. Well, Steve, be safe out there. We really appreciate everything you've shared with us. And have a great trip tomorrow and enjoy what the plate is waiting for you downstairs.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to be going down there shortly.
All right, Steve. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, man. I appreciate it. Right?
Six Figure Trucker is brought to you by Norton Transport. Norton Transport is a drive-away trucking company that customers can rely on. It offers excellent independent contract driving opportunities to professional, courteous, and qualified drivers that can provide the kind of service we deliver. If you're interested in learning more about Norton or just want to subscribe to the show, check out 6-figuretrucker.com. That's 6-figuretrucker.com.